What's up, everybody? Hey, it's Mike Whitmore with the Expansion Real Estate Group. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to this month's edition of the Monthly Market Update. We are in 2026 officially. That's incredible. Hope you guys all had a safe and happy new year. And we're starting off 2026 in the right way. And just remember, it's really easy to jump into 2026 with these resolutions and high energy and all these crazy targets. But remember, it's the things that you can choose to do for the next 30, 60, 90 days consistently, that's going to get your results, right? So, little PSA for you. All right, let's jump into the stats here and see what's going on with this real estate market in 2026. And good thing is we get to start off the year with some good news. December started back in December started at 80.5 on the Cromford Index, and we ended December way up at 86.6, so a 6.1 point increase month over month. So I think that's probably the highest increase that we had all year. So that's really, really wonderful news. And if we look at our daily Cromford chart, you can see we've been just going up, right? Just really since about the end of October, we've been a pretty steady increase up. And outside of that 45 days from the middle of September until, the end of October, we had a nice 6-month run, a nice gradual increase, which is what we want. We don't want these huge increases and decreases. We want a nice increase in the market because that's sustainable. And looking at where we are today, we are sitting at 88.3 on the market index. So we're actually 2 points up from the start of the month, which puts us on pace, 10 days into the month, to increase by about that same mark. And so why is that happening? Well, the biggest culprit is right over here on the supply index. Last month, we were at 17,772 active single-family homes, and today we're sitting at 16,837. So that's a 5.25% decrease in inventory, which again, lower supply, higher demand equals higher market index. But I want to remember you guys, if you've been with me for the last few years, every year on December 31st, we have a ton of expired listings and canceled listings. So we actually had 900 cancellations or expired the last week of 2025. So it's very, very common. That's why that number dropped. And I would not be surprised when we come back on here next month that this inventory actually stays the same or maybe even increases a little bit this next month. So we've had a nice drop in supply over the past few months. And that really is kind of what driven this thing here. But the good news is that demand is up as well. If we go back to our chart over here, and just click on this real quick. Again, demand's been going sideways for about 3.5 years, really since that kind of big drop in 2022 when the rates increased. But we are sitting at the highest point since June of 2023. So almost 2.5 years, this is the highest point in demand that we've been seeing. So that's really, really good news. And demand is increasing because of interest rates, right? So we've been talking about that for, 3 years now. I can't wait till this conversation goes away. But good news is today we are sitting at the lowest interest rate. Again, this is national average, 6.16% for a good credit conventional loan. That's the lowest since September of 2004. So about 18 months, this is the lowest rates we've had. So when these rates start creeping down around 6 into the 5s, the buyers really start to come back out, and that has increased our demand. 2 other quick stats here before we move on. Median home sales prices is up 1.4% year over year. Okay, so again, we think about this being this horrible, slow buyer's market we've been in, but prices are actually up year over year. Another piece that I think is good news, not good news for the builders, but good news for, I think, us as clients and buyers and everything like that, is new home sales are down 13.2% year over year. So from December of last year to December of 2025, they have dropped 13.2%. And the reason why that's good news is because they are giving away the farm. I've mentioned this so many times on the last calls that if you are a buyer and you are willing to be in a little bit, of the outskirts, they are giving you, I've seen rates as low as 2.99. They're paying all your closing costs. They're offering crazy incentives to give you these new builds. So just something to keep in mind. So those 2 stats, this is where I'm going to kind of take a little shift here. Those 2 stats are very I guess, high level stats, right? It's just an overall market stat. But what I want you to be careful of, even when I'm talking here, and especially what you hear on the news, when you hear very specific things said on the news, that's a whole general. A lot of times on the news, it's nationwide. But even here, so I talk about our Crawford Index being at 88.3 today. That's the average. But again, look at the distinction between the top, Fountain Hills, and the bottom, Maricopa, right? 192 Crawford Index in Fountain Hills and 55 in Maricopa. That is not the same thing. That is totally different realities. In Fountain Hills, could potentially even get multiple offers over asking price. In Maricopa, if you can sell it in 90 days, you're doing amazing, right? So when you're talking about real estate, you're talking about stats, and you're really getting specific about your own personal needs, that's when you need an expert to come and say, okay, here's what's going on a macro level, but let's dial it into your city, to your neighborhood, to your zip code, and really get these, straightforward numbers. But before we move on here, I just want to show this too. This is actually really exciting. This is a lot of green arrows. And what that means is if that arrow is green, that means that city went up over the last month in Crawford Market Index. So most of the cities are improving. Actually, just Avondale and Fountain Hills, Paradise Valley had a little drop. But what is that? So 16 of the 18 cities have increased month over month in the Crawford. So really, really wonderful news as a market as a whole. And here's another thing I want to kind of show you guys, kind of in the same conversation. Yes, prices are up 1.4% year over year. But again, what part of the market are we talking about? Anything under $700,000 actually lost value last year. Anything over $700,000, $800,000, most of it, except for one little section here, actually increased in value. So yes, it averaged out to be 1.4%. But again, what kind of a house are you selling? What kind of house are you buying? Every little distinction makes a difference. And I think this is really the big point here. Two things really. One, people that have money, right? The stock market's at 50,000, Bitcoin hit 126. People that have assets and investments, they have money and they're still spending. People that, are daily workers living paycheck to paycheck with this inflation and everything else, people are broke. People are really having a hard time financially. And that is, with these high interest rates, that's really affecting this lower market, because homes under 700,000 here in Phoenix, sad to say, but that's kind of entry level now. And those are the people that are getting hit the hardest by, rates going up to 8%, 7%, now back down to 6%. So as these rates drop into the 5s, hopefully in 2026, hopefully we'll see a pickup in this lower end of the market, because it's going to actually get more people into the market. And the last thing I want to talk about today, kind of on the same subject, it kind of flows nicely today, is this week we had a couple pieces of information that the president basically is stating, right? Nothing's done yet, but this will really kind of help that lower section we've been talking about. So the first thing he announced last week is his intention to put a limit or ban hedge funds and institutional buyers from buying single-family homes across America. And I've been talking about this, since probably 2021 on this video. Their intention, again, the hedge funds and all the people with the money, their intention is to buy all the homes, right? I've said that forever. So this is a major step in to, again, it would reduce competition, right, for those entry-level homes, because that's what they're buying, right? They're buying those good entry-level homes that they can rent out, make a profit. And if they can't buy them, that's going to, again, make that lower end of the market more affordable and less competition for the people that we want to get into homes, those owner-occupied buyers, first-time home buyers, and just making it better for the market. I will say there's a lot of things that get said and not a lot of things that get done. So whether or not this gets done, whether or not they get bought out by the hedge funds and maybe slide this under the rug, I don't know what's going to happen there. But if that does happen, that's a really, really great thing. The second thing, which is actually will happen and is actually already happening, is more important. So he has ordered Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, the two major mortgage industries in the United States, to purchase $200 billion of mortgage-backed securities. Okay. And so sometimes on this video, I'll show you that 10-year yield, that 10-year treasury chart. And what that does is, if they increase demand for that product, they can lower the interest rate that they have to charge to get somebody to buy it. So having this increased demand in that bond market will, again, their intention is will bring the mortgage rates down. The last time they did this was either right before COVID or right after COVID. They had a major buying spree in mortgage-backed securities, and that's when we saw the rates get down into the 2%. Not saying that's going to happen again, but again, they're taking steps to reduce rates and again work on affordability. Really since the election of 2024, and when they had to change over in some of the people in the housing industry, they kept on talking about affordability. That's their number one target is affordability, and to give them some credit, they are taking steps in that range or in that direction and doing things that will help first-time home buyers and things like that. So all in all, there's a lot going on. The market has, again, been going up nice and slowly. I like that. That's kind of my prediction for 2026. I think we'll gradually see it get better. Gradually. I will say with the caveat, though, remember last year from November to January, we did the same thing. We had a nice run up, but then hit February and we went down all the way until September. So nothing's guaranteed this market. All we can do is watch it month to month, but you guys got me here as your expert, and I appreciate you guys watching these videos, and I will see you here next month. See ya.